Hi, today I'm talking about David Mayer and Herbert Greenberg's article, What Makes a Good Salesman? So, a salesman without empathy is a missile that misses its target. It doesn't matter how close it gets, it missed. And a salesperson without empathy and ego drive misses its sale. So, why is this relevant to today's sales environment? Because of increased competition, globalization, and a focus on trust-based selling in the sales environment. So empathy and ego drive makes a well-rounded seller that is able to effectively establish and sustain relationships with their customers. Empathy allows them to actually make that connection because they understand their customers' feelings and where they're coming from. And ego drive is the high level of motivation and drive to make the sale, because salespeople do experience failure, and if you don't have a high ego drive, it does not motivate you to continue and get the personal satisfaction of the success. So, as far as competition, globalization, and trust-based selling, competition requires employees to be at their maximum potential of productivity. This means that it is imperative for companies to select candidates that do have empathy and ego drive, because those are the two characteristics that will ensure that they can be at the highest level needed to stay competitive in today's sales environment. If they do not have empathy and ego drive, it doesn't matter what the company does. It doesn't matter how much money they spend on training. It's going to be lost on people without those two qualities, because those characteristics make the sales professionals able to actually rise to the occasion and stay competitive. So for globalization, sales professionals are continually having to break down the barriers and cross-cultural lines to make sales in a globalized environment, which makes empathy and ego drive even more necessary, because when you don't share the same culture, it's harder to make that connection. And when it's harder to make that connection, you need a bigger ego drive and motivation to stay successful. So for trust-based selling, which is increasingly important in today's sales environment, because customers want to buy from people that they trust and have a relationship with, so that they know they're actually purchasing a product that is in their best interest. And to be able to build that relationship and trust, sales professionals need to be able to make that connection through empathy. It will not happen without high levels of empathy. In addition to that, having to establish a relationship, understand the specific needs of each individual customer, and then tailoring the sales process to that customer is a more complex and challenging sales process, which also calls for a sales professional with a high level of ego drive, because it makes it harder when you fail, when you put energy in, and you have to be able to combat that with motivation for success. So again, the reasons why the empathy and ego drive discussed in David Mayer and Herbert Greenberg's article, What Makes a Good Salesman, is because of increased competition, globalization, and trust-based selling in today's sales environment.